Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for September 5th through 11th. This week I read one book, I watched 3 shows, and I listened to 1 book. As is tradition when I am visiting my brother and his family, I am filming this in my Nibblings treehouse. Just because they're inside, I'm outside, you won't be able to hear them. You might be able to hear some wind though. I hope it's not going to affect the audio too much, but it is kind of a windy day, so it is what it is. For those of you following along on our travels, this is also the last full day that we will be in the Maritime Provinces. After today, we're actually starting the trip back to the West Coast. The book that I finished this week, super late last night, was A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green. This is the second in the Carl's duology. This is a reread for me because I love these books, and I just really wanted to reread them for Sci-Fi September. Turns out you can still hear the kids even if they're inside and I'm outside. So of course, being a duology, I can't really get into the nitty-gritty of this and the plot and that type of thing. However, the big difference between this one and the last one is this one has multiple perspectives, whereas the last one was primarily told through April May's point of view. Additionally, the fun thing about rereading through something like this is there are tons of little Easter eggs that you only pick up if you're somebody who's been following Hank's work for a long time. If you haven't and you're reading it, they're not going to affect you at all. It's not going to be a negative experience just to see something completely random in there. It's done very conversationally. There's some little mention about a sock subscription that goes to charity, and that's literally a thing that happens in the real world. It's called the Awesome Sock Club. I was part of it, but it's full-length socks and I need to wear ankle-length socks, so unfortunately I'm not part of it anymore. But that's the only reason, because it was great. If you want to talk to me about this duology, please do so down in the comments. Mark any spoilers for anybody who hasn't read it before, but I am more than happy to talk a lot about this duology. It's just hard to figure out what exactly I should be saying when people may not have read the first one. On to what I watched this week. Before we actually got to my brother's house, we were staying in a hotel for a couple of days, and we watched all 6 episodes of The Chair, mostly because it was just a quick 6-episode, half-hour show on Netflix, and actually mostly because the lead character is played by Sandra Oh, who I love from Grey's Anatomy, and I haven't seen her in anything since. Yes, I still haven't seen Killing Eve. It is on my list. This is about a woman who is the first woman of color to be the chair of the English department in the university that she works at, and then so many things just go to shit. And it's just a very difficult time to try to be a manager at this certain place. So I really enjoyed this. It packed a big punch for something that was only about 3 hours long in total. But I also have a hard time imagining where it's going to go from here. I don't imagine it's actually going to get another season just based on how this one ended, but I don't know for sure. I've watched a lot of really random things over the last couple of days while I've been at my brother's house, one of them being a marathon of Restaurant Impossible that was just kind of on in the background while we were talking or while I was doing work, or sometimes I was actually watching it. This is a Food Network show with a guy who goes in, has 2 days, and basically turns a restaurant business around because they're struggling. It's got the elements of home improvement, except for it's a business improvement situation, as well as the elements of just talking about the food, fixing it, figuring out the dynamics between the people that work there. It's interesting enough that it definitely keeps your attention. There was also a myriad of things on Treehouse that I'm not going to overly comment on. Besides, I definitely saw a few episodes of Peppa Pig, which is the show that has made it so that a bunch of children in North America are growing up with a slightly British accent, and that makes me so happy. Because of the style of the show, though, there are some inconsistencies with the way that things are drawn and depicted, and I'm just going to stop talking about it right now because I don't need to do a deep dive into Peppa Pig. A show that my sister-in-law introduced me to is Cougar Town. We started somewhere in the 4th season because that's where she was, and this was kind of fun. There were a few jokes that I was just like, wow, this is not the type of writing that I am into, but I do understand these episodes were about from 2012, so when they referenced an author that I will never want to talk about ever again, I was like, okay, well, at least we didn't know she was terrible back then. There was also some stuff where they were trying to be progressive, talking about homosexuality, but they weren't really, but they were trying, I guess. Onto the book I listened to this week. It was the 23-hour monster that is New York 2140. The interesting thing about all of the sci-fi books that I've read so far this month is all of them take place in New York. A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor takes place in a bunch of different places, but the first book in that series does take place primarily in New York, so I'm just gonna count it. This one is obviously set in New York in 2140, which is the future from now, and New York has been partially flooded and people still live there, and people still really want to live there because it's still a big status thing. New York thinks it's the center of the world, and the people that live there think that they live in the center of the world, and that's still a thing when this story is going on. This one had an ensemble of characters, so if you're listening, it is a little bit difficult to remember who is who until you really start to get to know who the characters are. And kind of the overscoping theme of this was finances, which kind of lost me a little bit because there was a lot of technical jargon and things that I didn't really care about. And an interesting thing about how much I didn't really care for that is A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor also has aspects of finances, but it's like a small part towards the end of the second book, whereas this was somebody worked in finance and you really had to know about things that I just don't know about. It was interesting climate fiction. I don't know if all the characters were written in ways that I really appreciated, but overall, even though I wasn't super connected to the characters, I'd like to see where they got by the end of it, and the book kind of made a point of saying this isn't the end, everything isn't magically solved, we still have to work towards other things, but, you know, this is a good start, which I appreciated that aspect of it. I also wanted to take a moment to say that this week, if you missed it, I posted a video called Reading 1000 Books Changed My Life. It's a video I worked really hard on, and I very much enjoyed putting together, and the whole discussion I had in there I really enjoyed and want to continue in the comments. So if you happen to miss it, it will be linked down below because I would love to see you there. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on a keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that is down below, as well as the link to my PayPal and my Amazon wishlist in case you would like to buy me a book. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!